where rich countries again left government returning home to ponder how to deal with the electricity shortage. Although renewable energy has been touted as Africa's best bet, the continent's energy transition has faced many hurdles, including the capital-intensive nature of projects such as solar plants and natural gas, according to the International Energy Agency. As part of a broader effort to electricity to continent, the African Development Bank says its goal is to finance energy programs that aim to achieve a universal access to electricity by 2025. The answer to Africa's energy crisis is straightforward. We need a public pathway towards our energy transition. In addition, we have to learn from the past mistake and make sure that corruption and poor decision-making do not derail our efforts. On that note, these are the ways that we are welcoming you in this workshop, full free. In South Africa, Comrade Vavi is here. We are free. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Comrade Sully. Thanks, Comrade Sully, and a great way to start our meeting. I'm going to call on Bruno Dobrusin from ITF to come up and say a few words about the Nairobi meeting, what happened there, so as a refresher for those of you who were there, and as a sort of an introduction for those of you who were not there. So I'm going to actually take my leave.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Comrade Sully. Good morning, everybody. How are we doing? Good, good. My name is Bruno Dobrusin. I'm from the International Transport Workers Federation. I work in the Urban Transport Department. We've been involved with TUED for many, many years. We're one of the global unions that have been working with TUED for over a decade. TUED was instrumental in starting the program of work at the ITF on climate change back in 2010. There are many aspects of that program that are still working today, that we're still expanding today. So we're very happy to be still here, connected, working with all of you. But also myself, I come from the Latin American trade union movement, from an organization that was the Argentine Workers Confederation, CTA, and we were also involved in TUED in its formation in 2012. And I can tell you that it's a very important meeting space where you learn the experiences of other countries. But I think it's also a very important space to have the intellectual discussions that we need to have in order to think of alternatives. Many, many ways we're faced with things that we don't want, but it's important to have things and ideas and projects of what is it that trade unions want as an alternative. And I think TUED has provided that for many, many of us in the trade union movement. And I'm very happy that we're now here discussing, putting forward TUED South as one of the key areas of work that we need to expand. I'm just going to mention a few things that happened in Nairobi in the first meeting of TUED South, which was the founding meeting. So TUED for many years has worked as a global network, but we felt that there was a need to have an anchor, to have a specific program of work that dealt with the needs and the realities of unions and countries in the global South. Many times when we discuss climate policies, it is very northern driven, and it was very important to have that space for unions in the global South. And that's what we did for the first time in Nairobi, where we had, I think, over 50 unions attending. Many of you were there, especially, I think it was a good moment to combine unions from Latin America, from Asia, and from Africa. And I'm very happy to see that many familiar faces again are here today. I'm just going to say a few things of what we agreed in Nairobi and that we hope to carry forward, not just in this meeting, but moving forward. So the first one was to monitor and to look at what's happening with these just energy partnerships, just transition partnerships that are happening in the global South, and other related developments that are happening in our countries. And that's very important to have that connection, to continue exchanging those experiences, to follow through with the different policies that are announced and what happens when they come on the ground. So basically monitor what's going on. That was number one. The second one was to continue the discussions on what the public pathway alternative looks like. We have a framing document that gives us a broad picture of what the public pathway means, but now we need to fit it. We need to add what's happening in our countries. We need to add perspectives of what's happening on the ground with our members. We need to add as well what the experiences of our countries are. Many times when we discuss what the public pathways look like, we can also look at the history of our countries. Many of us have had public pathways in the past that then were privatized, and now we're fighting to renationalize them. So bringing those histories into the discussion on the public pathway that we're having at TUED was also a key element of what we did in Nairobi and what we're hoping to bring forward here. And then the third part, which I think it's also critical for all of us to learn and to exchange from each other, which is learning more on what are the technological challenges that this is going to mean. Many times when we discuss alternatives, we have the broad ideas, but then it's very challenging for many of us to bring it to what does it mean on the ground. How are we going to develop a public alternative? What does it technically mean? How are we going to have a public utility company in a sector that was entirely privatized? How do we recreate that? So having that technical knowledge, learning from each other, but also, I think, learning from experiences of locations where this has happened is also a role that we want to fulfill here in the TUED South meetings, and I think that's going to be critical in this meeting. Just lastly, I think what's important about this meeting and what we should take out of here is to know that we have alternatives. Let's challenge the green neoliberal adjustment programs that are coming from many sides and that sometimes put us in a very defensive position. We're in a position where we say no to many of the things, but it takes us a lot of time to think about what are the alternatives that we have. And I think what's important to get from here is that we have alternatives. Workers have been resisting, but they have also been fighting for the alternatives that we discuss here. We know that the public pathway can work. It has worked in our history. It's working in many of our countries. So let's not be shy about it. Let's put it forward. Let's keep on discussing what we have and knowing that we have the power of the working class right behind us, on our side, and that we can really change the societies that we live in. So thank you, and I look forward to having these discussions over the next 3 days here with all of you. Thank you.